Hello and welcome to Your Hometown Solutions. I'm your host, Jean Newell with Waterview Realty. And in the studio with me today is Jonathan Lack. Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Jean.
My co-host. And his son, Sam Lack. Hello,
hey.
Sam.
Hey, Jean.
Visiting here from University of Florida.
Go Gators.
There you go. And Sam is following in his father's footsteps. Tell us a little bit about why you're here and your major and so forth.
Well, I am a rising senior at the University of Florida, which is weird for me to say. I am here at home for the summer working in the law office and real estate agency. And, I study political science and economics at the university with the intention of attending law school when I graduate in May. And so I'm just here trying to get a full overview. It's not my first summer working in the office, right. But I'm trying to take on a broader scope of things and learn a little bit about the practice.
Well, we wanted to have you on the show because you're going to be representing our younger generation because you do have a real estate license, which is great. You're working your way through college by selling real estate in Gainesville.
Something like that. That's the plan.
And speaking of real estate in Gainesville, Jonathan, you have 3 offices. You have Waterview Title, Waterview Realty Services, as well as Lack & Lack Chartered, which is a law office focusing on real estate. But we also represent Broward and Dade County for real estate as well.
Yeah, the Waterview Realty and Lack & Lack and Waterview Title are licensed to do business throughout the state of Florida. Our primary offices are in Broward County, covering what they call the Tri-County area of Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. And then our main office is here in Indialantic in Brevard County. And for those of you listening on the World Wide Web, that's the Space Coast of Florida. It's east central Florida along the Atlantic coast.
And both Jonathan and I are from South Florida, and we're glad to be here.
As is Sam. Sam was born and
raised in Broward County, but then also raised in Brevard County.
Yeah. That's right.
Got a taste of both.
There you go. So we were talking last week a little bit. We wanted to talk a little bit about for sale by owners, sometimes called FSBOs, and help them maybe understand what they're going to need if they're deciding to stay as a FSBO as opposed to going with a real estate agent. And there's a lot of reasons for both, and you just have to know the circumstances. So we're going to focus on what you're going to need if you are determined to sell your home as a for sale by owner. Jonathan, do you want to take the lead on maybe your services and what they're going to need to know before they put the sign in the front yard?
Yeah, the first thing you need to do if your intentions are to sell the home on your own, it wouldn't hurt to meet with real estate agents because they can give you what's called a comparative market analysis, wherein they can give you an estimate of what they think the home is worth. Now, of course, if you're doing that, they're providing that service for you on the belief that they will ultimately be listing your home. But it is a resource you may be able to take advantage of to kind of give you an idea of where you belong. The goal here is to prepare yourself for selling the home. And part 1 is the research. And then part 2 is actually the physical preparation of the home. You don't want to just put a sign in the lawn and still have your laundry strewn all over the floor and have the kitchen have dishes in the sink and that sort of thing. There's a lot of work that is done that a real estate agent does to stage your home and prepare your home for showing and getting it ready so that you can get the top dollar for it. I would say the number one reason I hear as a real estate attorney as to why the client is not using a real estate agent, well, I won't say the number one reason, a primary reason is because of the cost. They think they can sell the home. A standard real estate commission, well, it can vary. There is no standard real estate commission, but it usually runs in the 6% range. It can go up or down from there. But many people think, oh, well, that's just too much. I can sell my home and, I can sell it for a little bit less and still make more money. That statistically has been proven wrong. And Jean, you may be able to speak to that better than I have, but I know statistically that realtors get more for homes than for sale by owners typically do, even when factoring in the real estate commission. But that is what you hear is, oh, I think I can do this myself. The other reason is if you already have a buyer. Well, if you already have a buyer, then you're for sale by owner, but you're not actually advertising and marketing and preparing it for sale. You have a friend or a neighbor or a family member or a colleague or somebody who wants to buy your home from you. That becomes a different scenario. Now, that's not the marketing and sales that we're here to discuss on the show, but it does bring up the point that you will need an attorney and or title company to prepare the contract and prepare the transaction for closing, because even if you're selling it to a friend, the friend is still going to know that they're getting clear title to the property. You're still likely going to want to have a contract for it. So you're still going to need the services of a real estate attorney and title company.
Exactly. Well, the CMA that you alluded to is basically a real estate agent's version of an appraisal. And I always tell people, if they really want to know what the banks think of the home as far as appraising it, because 85% of the people, if not 90, are going to be getting a loan. So you want to know, if I go to all the trouble of getting my house ready and I show it myself and I get it all, and I do get a contract, and I hire an attorney to help me with the contract, and I get up ready to close, and we have it perhaps under contract with a mortgage contingency, and that mortgage does not appraise out, that home does not appraise out, they're back to square one. So why not find out up front whether your home is you get a professional CMA, but better yet, go out and hire an appraisal. Appraiser is probably about $350, $400. What do you think, Jonathan?
Yeah, somewhere around the $275 to $350 is the norm.
So they'll come out, and then that's kind of an official. Although, just like anything else, it's an art, not a science. You can have 3 appraisers and come out, and they might have a little bit different figures on it, but at least it'll be close.
And one thing I will tell you, and again, let's bring Sam into the conversation a little bit with the digital age. A lot of people will attempt to do their own research, and there are some great tools out there and some not so great tools out there.
I think there is a reason that licensed appraisers are licensed to do what they do. There are websites where you can put in your address and it'll say, oh, I think your home's worth $150,000. That doesn't mean that's what you should list your home at. That doesn't mean that's what you're going to get for your home. It's usually these online services are kind of a broad overview of what maybe you can expect to, be around. But like I said, there's a reason they're licensed. They do research on a whole variety of things, including the actual home structure and that stuff that you might not be able to value yourself if you don't have the experience of doing it. So if you're interested in knowing the value of your home in a real official sense, that's why the appraisers are there.
Exactly. And I always tell people, actually, I'm a big proponent of having your home inspected before you put it up for sale. And I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to pay $250, $300 to have my home inspected. I'll wait and have the buyer's home inspector do it, and I won't have to pay for it. But they're going to be coming from a different approach, because they're going to be coming in telling you all the things wrong with your house and why you need to come down in price. Where if you have it done ahead of time and oh my gosh, I didn't know I had a little leak in my attic, or this, that, or the other, and you have time to repair those things, then when the buyer comes in with their inspector, they're not finding things, and they're not there to negotiate your price lower. You already know your hand. I would say buying a house is somewhat like playing poker, because you don't know what you have until you get right up to the inspection. So there might be 2 things there you might want to be advised about: hire an appraiser and hire an inspector to come out and take a look at your house, so you know exactly what you've got and what might be in the future for repairs. So that would be 2 tips right there on hiring the professionals. Okay, so now we've got an inspector and we've hired an appraiser.
We have an idea of what the home is worth, and we understand the condition of the property, and so therefore make one of the conversations would be, do I make these repairs? Do I do renovations? Or do I reduce the price or account for it in it? And a lot of that will depend upon, are we talking about a new roof or a new air conditioning? Or are we talking about fixing a nail hole, minor repairs or major repairs? And again, where a professional comes in is they advise you the relative cost-benefit analysis of making repairs versus renovations. The other area, though, I think moving on maybe chronologically anyway, would be the staging. one of the problems with selling your home yourself is it's your comfort zone. It's your home. You've got the pictures of your kids. I know I have pictures of Sam on the wall in my house, and his brother Ben as well, and the dogs and the cats and all the dog hair and cat hair and all of those different things. And you live with all of that. So when you're showing your home, you're like, this is my home and this is how I live. Well, when you're trying to sell your home, you're trying to convince the buyer that this will be their home.
Right.
And so you need to declutter. You need to stage the home to make it, for lack of a better term, generic.
Right. And also I used to use the word modelizing it because I had worked in various model homes for many years, and they have a way of staging that house that makes you feel very comfortable. It's the coloring of the home, it's the size of the furniture, it's how much furniture is in a room and so forth. And if you've lived in your home for many years, you don't care that there's maybe 3 lazy boys in the family room and there's a footstool that you have to walk around to get down the hallway. But when you're bringing people in to look at the house, you have to think in terms of even simple things like traffic patterns and what is the colors of my house? Is that going to be a turnoff? So that's when you might want to bring in perhaps a professional stager and have them give you a consultation. Lisa Pellick is on our phone, I can't even talk, on our show from time to time, and she's a professional stager, and she'll come out and give you evaluations. A lot of these things, though, if you find the right professional real estate agent, you can get a lot of these things combined into one. But just to give you some advice on what kind of professionals are out there to help you if you still would like to sell your home yourself. So you might want to have that third party because, as you said, Jonathan, we don't see our own clutter because it's not clutter to us. And we always say, take down all your pictures, your family pictures, because as you said, I think last week's show, Sam, repeat what you said.
Well, I think one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that you're trying to sell this person your house so that it can become their home.
Exactly.
You're not selling your home and the way you have your home set up and your lifestyle to them. And sometimes it's hard to separate that, especially if you're selling it yourself. So I think typically, sales associates, we would ask the seller to be out of the house when we're showing it, because that way the buyer can picture themselves in the home living. This will be how my home will be set up and how I want to live. Whereas if you're being shown the home by the seller and by the person who currently lives there, it's hard to picture yourself in that house when they're currently living there and maybe telling you all their little anecdotes about this room and that room and what you can do with it. But that's not necessarily how you're going to have it set up.
Right. And most of the time when I have a buyer, I say, now be open. You can feel very open with me. I did not design this house. I do not own this home. I didn't decorate the home. So if you don't like it, you can tell me you don't like this kitchen. You don't like the colors. You don't like everything. But if now I'm the seller, are they going to tell me those things? I don't think so, because they don't want to feel that they've insulted you.
Right.
So I always talk, sometimes when I talk to these for sale by owners, they go, well, I've already got 2 interested people because they both like my house. And I'm thinking to myself, did they just tell you they liked it? But so you have to understand that that's an important role, how to if you're going to take on the real estate agent or the selling agent, how are you going to show your home and know what they're telling you is how they really feel? That's a little tricky.
I think you also run into the risk of a potential buyer saying something, I don't like the way this room is set up, and then this is your home, and this is, like I said, this is your own, like John said, this is my dad. This is your own personal safe space. And so for someone to maybe not like the layout of your room, you could then be prejudged to dislike the buyer and not want to work with them. And then you could run into a whole host of issues wherein you're using a professional and you leave the home, they can tell the realtor that they don't like the room, and that's not going to offend anybody.
And I know a lot of for sale by owners will still work with real estate agents if you have a buyer, but it's always difficult to say you're going to have to step out onto the porch or in the backyard, because even with the buyers that I have with me, they still feel self-conscious looking in people's closets. You feel, and you're trying to see what's there, and all of a sudden you feel like you're, kind of intruding on their space. So the more things that you can get out of the home, home. Declutter is one of the biggest things. And, of course, cleaning the home to make it look, again, try to emulate your home to look like a model home. And sometimes there's some really inexpensive ways to do that, whether it's throw covers over couches that are worn and torn, and you can do a lot of things with very little money. But that's when it takes a little bit of imagination. I've noticed, too, that people have a hard time looking at